Suffering Podcast.
There are days when we experience the highest of highs, and there are days we experience the lowest of lows. Seeing our worth as canonized during each moment can leave you broken and wayward. Never thinking that one season will end and change is impossible. It's a concrete conclusion that now is not forever. This too shall pass means that both the bad times will end, as well as the good times will evolve, often in a direction we do not desire. Hanging on to ride out the storm is one of the most difficult endurance games one could play. The ebb and flow of the changing landscape is as inevitable as the rise and fall of the tides. Where we position ourselves during each cycle relies on how we see the situation. There are benefits in each situation if your mind is strong enough to take the advantage. I'm Kevin Donaldson, always here with Mike Felice, and welcome to the Suffering Podcast. If you're a fan of overcoming adversity and overcoming suffering, then we're for you, because that's what we do here, and that's the stories that we highlight. So do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, please comment, ring the bell so you can get notified of all of our new content, and now you can join. And of course, follow us on all social media so you can find out what we're up to when we're up to it. Tonight's episode, gentlemen who I don't even know how we got contacted or got connected through this thing, but tonight we're going to talk to Dan Sachkowsky, Big D. We're going to talk about the suffering of business, because I like how you went down and you came right back up. Thank you so much for joining us.
Appreciate it, man.
Before we get into anything, let's throw a big shout out to our marquee sponsor. That's Toyota of Hackensack. We don't trust anybody as police. We certainly don't trust anybody as podcasters, but we do trust the guys over at Toyota Hackensack. So if you're looking for a car, go to toyotahackensack.com. Let them find you a car, but make sure you tell them the Suffering Podcast sent you. So, Dan, each week we take a question from our audience. This question comes from Lola, 1956. When things got the hardest, what kept you going? Your guest, why don't you lead this one off?
So what got me going was my kids. I had two boys. They were a year old and like a little over a year and a half. So I was at a breaking point in my life, and when I walked in the house, they had their arms out, they were smiling, and I just put everything behind me, and I said, this is the whole reason why I do everything. Nothing else really matters at this point. So my kids did that for many, many years, and every time I'm down, I just know that they're my biggest motivator.
You know, it's funny, kids don't give a shit that you're rich, poor, black, white, Republican, Democrat. They don't give a shit what you are. They just see you as their dad. They see you as this bigger in life hero. Changes a little bit when they get to be
older.
Like a little
they
older.
Talk back.
But that's why I like dogs so much. That's why I'm a dog person, because a dog don't give a shit what you can provide them. A dog just cares, am I going to get affection? Are you going to love me? Are you going to treat me right? And that's all they care about. So, you know, I thought about this question on the way in, and I try not to think about questions too much because I don't want to give myself an unfair advantage. But this one I thought about. And when I was at the lowest of the low, when I had guns in my mouth, when I had ropes around my neck, when I had just no hope in life, the only thing I kept telling myself to keep me going is I said, like, just put one foot in front of the other. Just make it one more day. The sun's going to rise tomorrow, and it might look a little bit different. And it took a while for that. It didn't happen overnight. It didn't happen automatically. It took a long time for that to come through. But just by taking that one step forward and one step forward, there was a picture of a guy, and he's pickaxing through dirt, and there's a guy above him pickaxing through dirt as well. And the guy down below doesn't quit, and he hits the diamond mine. The guy above him quits. When one more pick, he would have hit the diamond mine as well. So it's just that one step, and you absolutely can get to that diamond mine. But you got to be willing to take one more step, because the only way you're going to truly fail is not take that last step.
Yeah.
So Lola, 1956, thank you for sending that question in. Keep sending in your questions. We'll try to get them on the air. So Dan, you know, that's a good question. How did we get connected? Because I'm not quite sure.
I'm not sure. I think we started following each other maybe on Instagram or something. And
usually podcasters, I follow back because I appreciate what they do.
So I think I may have messaged you or commented on one of your things. We just went back and forth, and we talked a little bit. And then I just said, hey, let's collab and do what we got to do. So here on your podcast, you're coming on my podcast. And
well, that's what's the name of your podcast again?
I have Intrepidus Podcast.
Intrepidus Podcast. But that's a great thing. So people don't realize, I learned this very early on. we're not in competition with each other. You
Right.
have a podcast, I have a podcast, but we are not in competition. People can watch yours at any time. People can watch mine at any time. And if you get some of my subscribers, great. If I get some of yours, great. And that's what makes everything happen, right? But too many people in this business. And how long you've been doing Intrepid?
2 years.
2 years. So in 2 years, you've seen a lot of stuff. Too many people are in it for the wrong reasons. They think that it's mine, and it doesn't work that way.
And I think it's money, money, money. Like, oh, they're going to get rich. I want to start a podcast and get rich. Yeah, you'll be broke before you get rich.
But be the next Joe Rogan. I've heard, oh my God, when I started this thing, that's all I heard. Oh, you could be the next Joe Rogan. I'm like, I don't want to be the next Joe Rogan. He's already locked that one up. This one's for me. So why don't you tell our audience a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, how you grew up?
Grew up in Elizabeth, New Jersey. I don't know how far. It's not
that far away.
Half hour maybe. So I grew up super humble beginnings. My parents, I would say, struggled, but gave us the best life they could. Lived in an apartment until I was 14. Moved to the suburbs in Howell when I was 14. But the deal was when we moved into the suburbs, my uncle and my grandparents came with us. So I went from sleeping in a tight situation to a 3-bedroom home with 7 people, same situation. And
well, Elizabeth, what's your background?
So my mom's Portuguese and my dad's Polish.
Okay. Well, Sachkowsky, that's a tough name to grow up in, Elizabeth.
Yeah. So he's from Roselle Park, my dad's family. Yeah.
So Portuguese, you speak some Portuguese?
I understand it, but I don't speak it. My mom speaks it fluently, but I don't.
I understand like every third word because I work with a lot of Portuguese guys. And
if you're talking, I'm going to know what you're saying, but I don't know how to talk back.
It's my one benefit is I can speak Spanish, but I also took Latin in high school.
Yeah.
If you can break down Latin, like what I tell people is Spanish, it's tierra for dirt, and Portuguese, it's terra. Well, in English, terraforming, terracotta, it's all earth, you know. So if you break it down through the Latin, which you don't always have time to do when you're doing a conversation, but you can understand a little bit. Listen, as long as I know where the bathroom is or give me a shovel or something like that, I'm good. So how was it growing up in Elizabeth? You sports guy?
No. So, I mean, we went to just a public school, I think. My mom just wanted us there because we were in the projects, so we had to go and do everything that we can to be in a better spot. And we moved out here when I was 14, so I started middle school in the suburbs, which is totally different. You grow up where the projects are across the street from you, and it was hard to walk around because you didn't know what your next corner was. To in a place where everyone was there weren't security guards. It was a totally different life, and what I realized was that life could be different. And my parents did the best they could to give us a different life, but unfortunately, like, they were limited by what they believed they can do and the things that they thought were possible. So at that point, we just continued to do what we got to do. My grandparents lived with me. I mean, man, until my parents got divorced, and my grandma still lives with my mom.
The cool thing I'm hearing about you is you had a good foundation, right? So you had that foundation of knowing what the other side was.
Yeah.
And if you went to the suburbs, coming from the city, you'd be like, wow. Yeah. This is amazing, man. I don't have to worry about.
We didn't have a backyard,
right?
We didn't have a driveway. When you see people with pools in their backyards, basketball courts in their backyards, and just different things, and you start to see things in a different light, a whole different world like opens up to you, and that's what started happening to me. I started seeing possibility.
Then you figure, like, what else am I leaving on the table? Yeah. I saw that first when I went to college. I grew up in a household that was not good. Right, I grew up in a household that was incredibly racist. If you weren't white, you weren't right. That's pretty much how I grew up. So that's what I believed. I went away to college, and I'm like, wait a minute, the stuff I was being taught is not true because these people are pretty cool, And so it opened up those possibilities. The same thing with you. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. So what else were they wrong about? And then the hypocrisy starts coming in, and things get a little bit different.
It's conditional thinking. It's the way that either your parents were brought up to listen and believe in, and things that they wanted to keep teaching. But a lot of times most people don't see the other side, and it's unfortunate. You did, I did, but most people get stuck, and then it's just generational curses that keep going. And if you're not the one to change that, you can't really live a different life. You're going to live the same life that you were brought up in.
That goes both ways too, for people who grew up in the projects or people who grew up in a wealthy neighborhood. My kids got it real easy. Listen, my kids are spoiled rotten. So every year I go out to Patterson and I hand out Christmas presents with an organization that I work with sometimes. Well, one year I brought my kids live in the suburbs, man. They don't want for nothing. I didn't grow up like that. I grew up in Atlantic City. I grew up in economically depressed area.
Yeah.
So I brought my kids in there because I wanted them to see you guys got it pretty good. So it gives them a little bit more appreciation. Did it do that for you? Did it give you some more appreciation for life?
It just showed me a different perspective of life because I started seeing people living in a different way, even though my family lived the same way, just in a different area. Nothing changed, just a zip code, but seeing other people, being gravitated. So I always tell people, like, it's interesting if we look at the way we become friends with people. Like, we have friends growing up because geography puts us there. Our neighbors are our neighbors, the bus kids are the bus kids. But if we were able to actually pick and choose our friends, it would be a totally different group of people. And now when we look back today, we were stuck with those people. So they became our best friends, our everyday friends. When we look back and we look at, this is what that person was doing, but you were stuck in that way.
It's a convenience thing.
Yeah.
You're friends with convenience.
Yeah.
You're not friends with a kid 2 towns over because you can't get to him.
Exactly.
All right. Maybe you might meet him, maybe you might know him, but you're not going to become good friends.
Yeah.
The kids you rolled with, the kids you hung out with are kids that are in proximity.
Yeah.
So it's convenience.
Whoever could drop their bike, next door or down the street.
That's all it was.
Yeah.
Are you ready to enhance your skills and provide the best care to those who need it the most? I'm Kevin Donaldson.
I'm Sherry Alsip. Our trauma-informed training is here to help, and we've been traveling across the country delivering this essential need to departments and organizations of every size, shape, and makeup.
We come to you with on-site training so you don't have to worry about travel or scheduling conflicts.
This isn't just a class, it's an interactive experience. You'll learn directly from subject matter experts who teach from a victim's point of view, putting you in the shoes of those who have experienced trauma.
This approach allows you to understand trauma on a deeper level and to better serve the individuals you work with.
We'll guide you through new interview techniques that prioritize a victim-centered approach, ensuring safety and empathy in every conversation.
And for those of you in law enforcement or other fields, our training includes post-credits, giving you the extra added value and recognition for your commitment to professional growth.
We offer references upon request to show just how effective our training can be.
Don't miss the opportunity to improve your understanding of trauma and make a real difference in the lives of those you serve. Get in touch with us today by going to sherryalsip.com and let us bring trauma-informed training to your organization.
Together, we can make a lasting impact.
What was the family dynamic like? Because you're living in close proximity to all those people. You better get along or else it's going to be miserable.
Yeah. So when we moved, my parents always had a rough relationship. I didn't know until later on in life that my dad was an addict. I remember when we were younger, when we lived in Elizabeth, we would go visit him and everyone was wearing white. We didn't understand. And he would always give me these keychains that said NA, but I had no idea. So I'm a little kid, 10 years old. I got all these colorful keychains. This is cool, right? And I put them on my pants or whatever. And then years later, my brother is in NA and he's got a book. And it's just I'm 30 something years old and I'm finally realizing what the hell I went through as a kid. Why my dad wasn't home at nights, why my dad was always at the strip bar, why my dad never had money, why my parents were always fighting, and I was starting to see wow, I dealt with a parent. And then my mom started telling me because I started asking her questions. So back then when we were kids, our parents and our grandparents, everything was in the closet. We never knew what was going on.
No, you didn't know about finances. You didn't.
Nothing.
No.
So everything that happened outside when nobody else was around. But now today, everything happens. Everyone knows. Kids know what's going on, social media, and the world has just changed. So I started realizing things later on in life of what I went through, but I thought all that was normal. But then I saw the behaviors that my brother was getting and the things he was doing, the same thing as my dad. So growing up, I didn't know what was different. But even when I started seeing my friends and, the moms and the dads, you don't see people genuinely in love with each other. When you're growing up, you're hanging out with your friend, parents aren't all over, you don't see that. So you just think it's normal that the dad's in the office or the dad's in the basement or dad's in the garage and the mom's cooking. That was the normal thing. So I didn't know what to see differently. So I didn't know what a relationship really was. I didn't know that there was supposed to be togetherness, So I think that my first marriage, my only marriage, my marriage was a reflection of what I thought. I was supposed to have.
Well, you become what you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What we're familiar with is what we adapt to.
But so your world was real small when you were a kid.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. That's actually a really beautiful thing because, I'm a big believer in try to keep your world small, even though the world is, we're all global citizens now because you have access to all this information. Being a kid, only knowing what you know, what you were told, what was in front of your face.
Yeah.
Are you any happier now knowing everything? You have all this information at the tip of your fingers on your phone. Are you any happier? No, actually probably more anxious.
So I think I was more interested when I was younger to sneak around the block, see what was going on, look at what the bad neighborhood kids were doing and all that kind of stuff. Like, going in places where my parents said, don't go, just to kind of see it. My bike getting stolen, my scooter getting stolen, because I wasn't supposed to go there. Now coming home trying to tell my parents, hey, I went where you told me I wasn't supposed to go and I don't have my bike. Right. I remember my mom chasing some dude down the block, that had my bike, and she hit the back of the bike, knocked the kid off, screaming at him in the middle of the hood. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to die. Right. So I think I was always a kid who was curious about the other side because we were so in such a tight place where I didn't know much and we weren't allowed to do much. I always was curious to do more. And I think that's where my entrepreneurship came from because I didn't want to settle for being average. I wanted to be above average.
Well, you also see when you get out of the inner city that you can attain certain things that maybe you thought were out of reach to you. And what you find out when you become self-sufficient, when you have that type of mindset where you're an entrepreneur, you realize that nothing's out of reach. And that's the truth. Like nothing is out of reach. And people will argue with me all day long. I never thought I'd be on a podcast. I never thought I'd, be a police officer. I never thought any of that stuff. But once I attained it, I'm like, oh, okay, that wasn't as hard as I thought, So when was the first time that you actually tried to attain some stuff? You had that drive to be, that curiosity. Were you like a classroom guy or were you a business guy? Like, how did you get started?
So I played football. I started bodybuilding in high school. I wanted it when I got into the whole world of bodybuilding and all that. I wanted to be a bodybuilder.
What year?
So I was like a freshman. And
what's the year?
Probably 94.
94. So Ronnie Coleman was still Mr. Olympia.
Yeah, Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler were the guys. And then, a few years later after high school, I was working out with Flex Lewis and those guys, with Gaspari. I was working out with all those guys. And, I ended up having a bad injury, which took me out. But I made a decision early on because I looked at all these bodybuilders and I saw that they were broke. I looked at Kai Green. Like Kai Green's like a legend, in my opinion. And I feel like he should have always won, but he always got it taken from him. And you look at his living situation, living in the Queens in an apartment, and just
go strip. That's what he did. He used to strip
and just walk and do whatever just to survive and to maintain this lifestyle. I go, I don't want that to be me.
So I saw that my wife was a figure competitor, and I saw it. I was a bodybuilding fan since I was a little kid. Right, I'm talking.
Ferrigno.
Ferrigno was. By the time I got in, it was like 82, so you're talking Chris Dickerson era.
Got it, yeah.
I watched Lee Haney. I was so into it, and I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. And then in 1990, Vince McMahon started something called the WBF. All right, it was the World Bodybuilding Federation, and the first couple shows were in Atlantic City, first two shows. I worked out at a Gold's Gym, and I saw Gary Stridham for the first time. All right, so Gary Stridham won the first two competitions for the WBF, and he was an absolute monster. I remember him sitting on the bike because it was a couple days before the show, and he's pedaling, and I'm watching his quad, and I'm like, what the fuck is this? But I met this guy there, and this is to speak to what you're speaking to, Johnny Morant. Do you remember Johnny Morant?
Sounds familiar, but I don't know who he is.
He's an old-time pro. He had a waist that was like this, right? He had one of the smallest waists ever. So years go by, and my wife is getting involved in figure competing, and I'm looking at this guy walk into a bank, and you know how you can see an old bodybuilder, like you look at their calves, they're like, oh man, he used to be somebody.
Yeah, still diced.
But this guy had a waist that had to be like 48. He had a big pot belly, and I'm looking at him. He's got big dreads now, and I go, my God, that's Johnny Morant. The same guy that I met in 1990. I had a picture with him, and his waist is gigantic, and that's the life of a bodybuilder. He had a stroke because of all the shit that he was doing, and he's just, you could tell that he used to, but you could see where he is now. Poor guy ended up dying, he had a couple strokes, ended up dying and stuff. But he was just it's a sad life. And when you get involved in it, like my wife was involved in it, you see what goes on behind. Like Victor Martinez used to be around and stuff, and there's no ceiling to it unless you're one of the top guys or you got magazine covers or supplement deals. You're not making any money.
You're such an addiction addict to getting bigger and the drugs and the this and the that, and you're just destroying your body. And that's what led me to, my heart condition, all the shit that I did for many, many years, because you're never big enough.
No, yeah, you always want to go. And I used to, when Ronnie Coleman was Ronnie Coleman, I met him at the Night of Champions in 2005. And he was wearing this white tailored suit, and there's a picture of it on one of my social medias, wearing this white tailored suit. And I'm like, my God, this guy is an absolute monster. Like, just the biggest guy I ever seen in my life. And then you have, at that same show, I saw Craig Titus. And at the time I saw Craig Titus, he had already killed that girl. Him and Melissa, his wife, they killed the girl and stuffed her in the trunk and burned her. But yeah, so I've seen all these guys and they were bigger in life to me. But then you start looking at the reality of it and you're like, man, this is a sad, sad life. They're all sleeping with each other and they're doing weird shit. And it's a crazy situation. And it just turned me off to it.
Yeah.
I haven't watched bodybuilding since probably 2005 or no, probably 2008. I got no interest in it at all because it's just not the direction I want to go.
Yeah.
So what was your first, you get into bodybuilding, you get an injury, you see these people, it's not where.
So I have my first business at 17 and I'm bodybuilding. So I'm bodybuilding, I'm competing like 18, 19, 20, and I have my own business. I'm going to the gym at 4 o'clock in the morning, going to the gym at 5 o'clock at night, twice a day, working 7 days a week, working out 7 days a week, like literally just running on dead. And I just said to myself, like, I have to pick one. I'm either going to be broke and big, or I'm going to have an MBA, a massive bank account, and maybe be a little bit smaller, right? So I said, all right, I'm going to go with the business because it makes more sense. And my luck and ability to be a pro is slim to none because that's everybody's chances. So I just went into business and I went full force, and I ended up having an injury. I was still competing and doing stuff, but I wasn't doing it at the level. So it wasn't like a competition every few months. It was like once every, 18 months I would do something. But I got to a point where I was about to do a show. I was totally like super lean. I was probably like, I don't know, 8 weeks out, 7 weeks out. I'm stretching at the gym on my quads doing leg extensions, literally 20 pounds, and my quad rips right off.
Oh, did you hear a pop?
No, I didn't know what happened. I thought I was like, what the fuck was that? And I went to go stand up and I fell down because I had no muscle. And I couldn't even walk out of the gym. Rolled up all of my ass. Yeah. But I didn't know. And I was getting on a plane the next day to go do some business seminar I had to go to. And I was there. I was in, I don't even know where I was, like Idaho or some shit. And dude, I couldn't even walk for days. By the time I came home, my legs black. And I didn't even go to a doctor. I just got hurt. Let me just like walk it off. By the time I finally went to the doctor, it was too late. They couldn't reattach it. So I knew it was over.
Yeah, I've been in a gym where people popped their pec, or I've had a quad, like it wasn't a full pop, but it was enough to where you could actually hear it snap.
Yeah.
And it's a debilitating. And you know what the problem is like you worked your whole life to be big.
Yeah.
You're a gym rat, and that's just, it becomes part of who you are. And then you get an injury and you can't do it. Now all of a sudden you're like, oh man,
it's like depression.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's awful because that becomes part of your identity. But if you're working on this business in tandem, what was the business?
So I own a construction company. I probably had no business doing business, but I knew I wanted to be rich. So that brings us back to the story of, where things shifted. So back in the day, remember Bon Jovi used to live in Sayreville?
Mm-hmm.
So me and my dad and my brother are driving through Sayreville in my dad's Astro van. Remember the Astro van?
Oh, yeah.
It was three colors, dark brown, light brown, and rust. I call it the tricolor brown. And we're driving through this neighborhood and we pass Bon Jovi's house. And I go, man, what is that? And my dad goes, that's wealthy people. Those are rich people. Like, that's what they live in. I go, I want to be rich. And he goes, well, we're not rich. There are different types of people. So that day, I flipped a switch. I go, whatever they're doing, I need to figure it out. And somehow, some way, a book got put in my hand called Rich Dad, Poor Dad at 16 years old. I read that book. After I read that book, I read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Man, I thought I knew it all. Just like all these young guys today, they watch one YouTube video, they watch one reel on Instagram, They're going to go out there and be an influencer. That was me at 17 because we didn't have that stuff. All right, I'm going to start a business. I'm going to go after and do what I got to do. Knocking on doors. Hey, I could change your door. I could change your windows. By the time I was 21, I built my first house. Made a little over $3 million by the time I was 24, went bankrupt. Because I thought I knew it all.
So it's a point I make to the kids that I coach, and I do some stuff with some professional teams, and I watch these young kids making millions of dollars. And the thing that scares me the most is this NIL money in the NFL or in college. So getting to your point, if I got NIL money when I was in college and I'm making $1 million a year, I'd be dead by the time I was 22 because I would have spent it quicker than I could have got it. I have no responsibility. I have no value of money. I don't know what I'm doing, even though I think I do, because we're real smart when we're young.
Yeah, we know more than anybody.
Yeah.
Till you lose it all.
So when you're making all that money coming in there, how fast was it going out?
My lifestyle was $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a month.
Holy cow. On what at that
So
age?
I was 24 years old, living in an almost 5,000 square foot house. I had 2 Escalades in a driveway, S55 AMG, house in Cabo, Mexico. You know what I mean? Everyone on my block thought I was a drug dealer. Like I'm as old as their kids living in a house that their kids are still living in. And they didn't understand what was going on, but I was hustling, working my whole way and just thinking, hey, listen, money's coming in. I'm doing a couple $1 million a year here in gross. Like this is easy. I remember 2006, I made $630-something thousand. 2007, I made nothing. So what I didn't understand is, to your point, you train these kids, I wasn't a respecter of money. I didn't understand the principles of it. I thought it was just going to keep coming. So everyone always asked me, they go like, what's one lesson you learned in life? And I said, I never asked for help. I thought I was smart enough. The 2 books is like the Instagram. It's like the YouTube. Oh, I'll just learn it and go do it. You fall so hard on your face because you think you can do it just off of something. And that's where my whole coaching experience came in. And after that point, when I was dead broke, that's when I walked in. That's when I hit rock bottom. Saw my 2 kids that were, sitting there. I left my lawyer's office, said, hey, I'm going bankrupt. He goes, you'll figure it out. Walked home. My kids were smiling. I go, fuck it. I got to figure it out.
When you got no plan B, that's the best recipe for success right there.
100%.
If I know I shouldn't even try something. I'm like, if this doesn't work, I'll try this.
Yeah.
That's when I said, no, that's not it. When your back's up against the wall, there was a time I was homeless, and I wasn't unhappy when I was homeless. I wasn't unhappy because I knew all I could do was go up.
You were probably grateful.
I was grateful that I was still alive. When you're up here and you're that young and you come crashing down to the ground, how was your head at that point?
So
aside from your kids, aside from seeing your kids,
what happened was it was over like a 6-month period of time. I think I had because back then we dealt with a lot of cash, right? People paid contractors with cash. I had a couple $1 million in the safe, but I'm fucking taking out $10,000 a week just to pay bills. The phone's not ringing. And that couple $100,000 went down to $40,000. I go, I got no fucking money left. What am I going to do? So I was preparing myself to and I'm like, the fucking stupidest thing I did was not go bankrupt and keep the fucking $2 million. I just kept trying to fund it back, hoping I would know. But that was a hard lesson. And I believe that God's got a game out there. How bad do you really want it? We get taught lessons because we're not able to live a certain life unless we're ready to be in a position to own that life. So everything that we work up for will always be taken from us if we don't become the man or woman who deserves to be and stand in that position. So he was like, hey, listen, you need to humble yourself. Stop chasing money. Now you got to chase purpose. So at that point, I started chasing purpose and what I wanted to do. I've made money secondary. But again, then I learned another lesson. Then I learned another lesson. And every time I want to go higher, I always go through a lesson. I always get punched right in the face or kicked right in the balls, whatever it is. But that's the way success is.
And guess what? If you're doing it for the right reasons, the money will come.
100%.
It's going to take some time.
100%.
But you have to lay the groundwork.
Yep.
And you have to struggle and you have to suffer. And that's what builds appreciation. And that's what builds gratitude for all that stuff. So the fact that you're up here when you're that young, dude, I'm going to tell you, it's amazing you're still alive because I know.
I didn't do drugs. Man, I was disciplined as a bodybuilder. I didn't drink. I didn't do drugs. I didn't start drinking until I was in my late 20s where we would be socially doing things. So I didn't kill my body. I just and I didn't have guns. I didn't own any of that stuff because I was never around that as a kid. So I just said, I have 2 kids and it was a lot of tension in the house.
How
I was like 25.
When you had your first, when you had
22,
your
I was my first kid.
Wow. See, that's young, man. But you know what? You're on top of the world at 22.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, well, what's the next step? Let me have some kids.
My ex at the time was 7 years older than me, you know, so like I needed to date up because, I mean, everyone my age was still partying and doing stupid shit. I was in a point where like I needed to find someone who was ready, even though I wasn't like looking to have a relationship or looking to have kids. It just kind of happened.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be in circles of people who have already arrived or already almost there versus the people, again, that I grew up with, my friends that geography placed me with. Now I had to up my life and start hanging and spending time with different people.
So this is an odd thought. When you were that young, you're chasing what you want to see as wealth, money, right?
I blame MTV Cribs.
Tommy Lee screwed it up for all of us. But you're chasing that money. If you look back, was the money what you were chasing, or were you chasing the rush of success?
So I thought money was success. I thought the more money you made, the more successful you were. And my identification of success was money. And the more things I had, again, when you look at wealthy people, right, they have the nice car, they have the nice house, but everything else inside is broken. And I didn't realize that. But as long as I had all that stuff, man, I was in that category. I was there, you know, till I started seeing stuff later on. One of my good friends who was 10 years older than me, I used to hang out on his yacht. We used to go to AC and park at now it's the Golden Nugget. Back there, it was Trump Marina back in the day.
Yeah.
And
it's where the Trump Princess used to dock.
24 years old with a 34-year-old dude on a 45-foot yacht just chilling for the weekend. Like, dude, I'm living the dream, you know? And till I find out this guy's got a drug problem. Then later on in life, he dies. Because why? Depression. Because we all chase the wrong things.
There's a great book out there, and it's an older book. It's probably 25, 30 years old now. It's called The Millionaire Next Door.
Yep, read it.
All right, so Millionaire Next Door will tell you what the average millionaire spends. I got and again, old book, $300 suit. Their car is $35,000, maybe $40,000. And at the time, that was pretty
That's
high.
That's a $100,000 car now.
But it wasn't exorbitant back then.
Yeah.
And you're thinking to myself, what? It's somebody who's unassuming. Where now people will watch Bravo and they'll watch these Real Housewives.
Oh yeah.
These people don't have two nickels to rub together, yet they're showing you everything.
Shout out to Frank, my boy.
They're showing you everything, right? They're robbing Peter to pay Paul. It's crazy. It's just a lifestyle that I don't want anybody to know if I have money in the bank or not. I'm still going to treat people the same way because people when you're trying to show people what you have, you notice you treat people differently.
Yeah.
How were you treating people back then? Were you on the same level, same guy you are now?
So, I was actually paying for everything and for everyone because I was that guy. I was young.
You had a lot of friends then.
Yeah, I had friends. You know, because when you have money, you have friends. Everyone wants to go out with you. Everyone wants to come to your house. Everyone wants to go to your vacation spot. Everyone wants to fly, you know, in a jet. Everyone wants to do this stuff. And everyone's cool with you. But then when you hit rock bottom, nobody's there. And you realize it, you know, except for a couple of my friends who I went through it with. And my one friend who was my plumber at the time, and I had to call him and say, hey, listen, bro, I can't pay you no more. I don't even have any money left, and I'm shutting the company down. And I was the only guy he was working for because I had so much work. And he's like, fuck, you know, he didn't know what to do. And he went to New York City to try and figure something out. He was homeless, sleeping in Central Park, you know, and I felt like I was responsible for that. You know, but then he became multi-millions. Now he's living in Miami, you know, big penthouse because he's changed his lifestyle to do things. And now he's super, super successful. But like, I believe that, you know, we made a decision that we weren't going to allow ourselves to break, but we realized who our true friends were and who were going to stick with us. And now today I'm super tight with very little people. And I don't buy shit for nobody. I don't expense things for nobody. And I just know that people will be around you when there's benefits of them and even your own family. You know, they'll be around you when there's things for them, but when it's time for you, nobody shows up. You know, for instance, moving.
It's transactional. Right? It's transactional relationships, right?
Yeah.
So I try not to get involved in transactional relationships. I have a group of 3 friends, the closest men in the world to me because I know that if, you know, that's the proverbial phone call you make at 2 a.m. They're grabbing a shovel because they're figuring you're going to bury a body, right? And they don't want nothing. They don't ask questions. It's just they're going to show up. And that's what you want. You don't want people to show up when the applause is happening, when the lights are shining on you. It's who's going to show up when the applause stops and it goes dark.
I'm teaching my kids that now because they're both in business and all their friends want to hang out and they're going out eating and doing all this stuff. I'm like, they're like, Dad, why don't you hang out with a lot of people? I'm like, I hang out with very few, because you'll realize very, very soon that these people are only around for the benefit of them, not the benefit of you.
When you lost everything and everybody sort of went away, you had all this money that was gone. What's your next move? Because you got 2 kids. What's your next move?
My friends called me. He was a Mason, same spot as me. And he called me for about 3 weeks. He's like, hey, bro, we can get paid every time the phone rings. We're going to get rich. I'm like, bro, are you fucking doing drugs? What are you talking about, you know? He kept calling me. And I'm in a hard spot. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm maxing out credit cards and just trying to figure it out. And finally, he's like, bro, just come check this thing out. Every time the phone rings, we're going to get rich. I go, if I come, will you stop calling me? Yeah. So it was a network marketing deal, multi-level marketing. And I went there, a guy in front of the room was making 40 grand a month, you know, on phone service. So everyone there was in a suit. I was in, you know, new Timberlands and jeans and a hoodie because that was my work gear. That was my professional gear. And at the end of the meeting, I go, listen, I don't really care what you do or how you do it. What do I need to do? You know, because I know that ignorance on fire is where you make it. Like, if you just go after something, regardless of how much you know, it's going to happen. He goes, just put people in front of the opportunity. I said, that's it? He goes, yeah. I said, how many people you want? He's like, what can you do? I said, I put 100 people in a room. You just tell me when and where. Set up a meeting. I invited 100 people, not even knowing what I'm inviting them for. They're in my living room. I think like 20-something people joined the opportunity with me that night. I made $6,600 my first month. I'm like, fuck, this is good. $40,000 my 4th month.
What was the business?
It was a company called ACN. It was like remember when Bell Atlantic deregulated and like AT&T became a $1 billion company overnight? So the deregulation of phone service started allowing, you know, different companies to offer phone service. So it was local long distance calling. So instead of having Bell or AT&T, I can come in and give it to you cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
You know, then they introduced cell phones. Then they introduced TV. Then they had dial-up internet. So I was offering people home services at a discounted rate and getting paid a percentage of their bills every month. I ended up putting 30,000 people in my organization over 5 years, making millions of dollars, having an opportunity to be on The Apprentice twice with Trump. Like, all this shit started happening. But it's because my fucking ass was against the wall. I had no other plan. I was ignorant to the opportunity, but I saw money. Money is a tool at this point. It wasn't what I needed. It was just an escape to get out of where I was, right? So I knew at this time that I needed that tool to help me navigate the next step of my life. So let me just do what he tells me to do, put people in front of it, make some money, be okay, then I'll figure it out. Ended up doing that for 5 years.
Sounded like your mindset changed, where wealth means something different. What at this point, how's your...
Feeding my family was more important now than any other money. I just wanted to pay the bills, not lose the house, not do that stuff, like just get myself in a position to win. But I didn't get myself to a point where I was humble enough to admit to enough people that like I was losing everything. Like, a lot of people knew I lost my company, but they didn't know like my house was in bankruptcy at this time, you know, in foreclosure and all this stuff. And we were suffering. And I had the only plan was to make it right and get in a point where we started winning again. And it literally took a couple of years, but you know, we ended up turning the clock and doing what we had to do.
Because there's an exponential problem when you're in that position, right? Your credit cards, you said, were maxed out. Mm-hmm. You're not paying your credit card, so your credit's going to shit. And then, you know,
you got your electric bill. Hey, can I just pay $100? You know, that's all I got. You know, your phone's getting shut off. Yeah. Hey, listen, can you just turn it back on? I just need to make a phone call. You know, just stupid shit. And we didn't have the expenses back then that we have now. You know, but even like gas and electric was so minimum back then. But even like you can't pay your gas bill. You're months and months behind. I have two babies in the house, whatever, you know, please don't shut it off. You know, my baby, I don't want them to freeze. You're just making these crazy ass calls and nobody sees that, but everyone sees the success that you had. Now you're still having more success because they're seeing this, but they're not seeing that hard time you're going through because they're not inside the walls.
That's why I always say that people who grow up in especially economically depressed areas, they actually have an advantage over everybody and they don't realize it. Okay. They know what it's like to be without.
Yep.
They know what the other side is like. And if they just put in a little bit of work, they can have a much bigger advantage to somebody who grew up with a silver spoon in their mouth. Mm-hmm. But they got to realize that.
This is why most people who come from overseas are super successful in the United States, because they have something to compare it to. We're such a spoiled, rotten state that we live in and country that we live in that every single person thinks that they deserve something. But you got people from foreign countries that literally live in third world countries, like sleeping outside, walking miles to get water, and they come here to the U.S. and they become millionaires and billionaires. Why? Because they don't want to go back to that, and they can compare it to what they don't want. But everyone else here believes that, hey, I'm entitled to this, and this is why this is the land of opportunity, but not for the opportunities that are here.
You know, you look at somebody from, say, you know, a third world country, and they're like, wait, you go to the bathroom in fresh water and flush it? Like, what? Yeah. You know, you're supposed to drink that stuff. And that's the most basic human need, right? They don't have access. I have a lot of friends who go down to these places and they'll dig wells and stuff. And these people don't even have fresh water.
Yep.
Now, during COVID, we freaked out when we didn't have toilet paper.
Or bottled water.
Yeah. We started freaking out at that stuff. These people don't have fresh water to drink.
Yeah.
You know,
wiping their ass with a leaf.
Right. So it comes down to perspective. Now you come back, you start making money with this, you start getting back on your feet. Feeding your kids becomes your new wealth.
Yeah.
But you start
helping other people at the same time, because I had to help more people in this business now make money, because the more people that were successful then came back to my success. Where my first company, it was all about me. How much can I do? Let me get the low-hanging fruit that's going to work for me at the cheapest rate, where I can have more guys doing more things and more money was mine, where it's now how can I help X, Y, and Z become super successful? Now it brings me to a place where I'm not only working for me, but I'm helping abundantly work for other people.
Now, how old are you at this point?
25,
you're starting to get back on your feet at 25.
25, yeah.
And do you mind if I ask how old you are now?
I'll be 44 in a couple weeks.
So less than 20 years ago, you were flat broke. You were on the balls of your ass.
Dead broke.
And then you start building yourself back up. But here's the cool thing. And again, I'm going to put it into you said ignorance on fire equals success. Is that what you said? Yeah. Ignorance on fire equals success. When I started this, all I wanted to do was just get a message out that I had. I knew nothing. I'm telling you, I knew nothing. I bought the equipment. I figured out how to publish it, and I taught myself everything. But I knew I had something that I wanted to do, and I figured it out. That's all I did was just figure it out.
Yep.
All right? Because I had the drive to do it. And a lot of people see, and there's been sacrifice along the way, because one of my favorite quotes is by David Goggins. You know, when you are driven, people are going to see you as unbalanced. So when you start making money again and you start looking at wealth a different way, did anybody look at you a little different? Like he's crazy. There's something up with this guy.
Everyone always tells me I'm crazy.
Yeah.
Every time I go through something, they're like, "What's wrong with you?" Even like when I lost why don't you just go get a job? I'm not getting a fucking job. I'm unemployable. Right. So one thing that resonates with me to this day is when I was 17 reading Think and Grow Rich, like by Napoleon Hill, when they went to Creed to go fight the men, they were outnumbered. So the general turned around and he burned the boats. And the guys are like, "What the fuck are you doing?" He goes, "We win or we don't go back. And we have no option but to win. You have no out. There's no boats. There's no nothing. They're burned. They're done. We have to fight now. Even though we're outnumbered, our only chance for survival is to win the war." So from that point moving forward in my life, I knew I was going to face war. I was going to be outnumbered. But as long as I didn't look for an escape, and I knew that there was nothing behind me, and I just kept going forward, the opportunities were always going to be there.
So you're starting to do better now. Now you had some health scares.
So I'll go real quick to that point. So did well. Then I ended up building another construction company, selling it.
Oh, you went right back into construction.
No, like a couple years later. Like I had to get some money back, but I went back into it. So now I'm doing both, juggling both. That other company was kind of like an autopilot. I just had to show up and talk once in a while, but the thing was building. So get back into construction, ended up building a company, selling the company. Then I ended up buying out a competitor of mine who was in construction because his company's for sale, going through a divorce, cooked books. Company's like, "Oh yeah, you invest $100,000, you got 1.8 million in receivables." Lawyer looks at it, accountant looks at it, all looks good. Day I sign the paper, good. I start calling these customers, "Hey, I'm the new owner, blah, blah, blah." "All right, well, when's our work getting done?" "What do you mean?" Now I find out 18 customers. It was like $2.3 million he took that wasn't in QuickBooks. The company's $3.5 million in debt the day I buy it. I'm like, fuck, here we go again. Right? So it's like, people don't understand. It's like, and my mom tells me, she says to me a few years back, she goes, "When's enough enough?" I go, "Mom, I live for this shit. You know, this is like the rush." So try to keep that company alive for like a year and a half. This guy that used to own the company, now he's getting levies put against my bank accounts. So I'm like, fuck. So I go to check cash and I'm starting to cash checks, keeping cash. One of the guys who works for me was in debt. It was in debt with a bookie because he was a bad gambler. I have a safe at my office with $500,000 in it. They break into my office, blow my safe, my $500,000 gone. So I have a fucking company that's $2 million in debt. $500,000 is gone. I'm like, fuck, man, what do I do now, right? Just got to keep going. I go see my bankruptcy attorney again. I'm like, dude, I don't fucking know what to do at this point. He goes, just figure it out. We'll write letters. You know, I went to a lawyer after the robbery, News 12, the whole deal. Had the whole shit on camera. News 12 is showing the guy taking the fucking safe out of there. It was fucking crazy. And, you know, go through this whole shit, but I couldn't survive it. Like, after a year trying to keep it alive, I had to bankrupt that company too. I go to court. Everyone gets caught. No restitution, no nothing, because they can't prove how much money's there. So now this old guy that owned the old company that I had to bankrupt took money from Sandy fraud. So now the state's on top of me, coming after me for buying the company. Now I'm responsible for this fucking money he took. Bro, again, here we go. This is years later that they come after me. When I start making money again, because the company's closed, now they come after me again. $3 million lawsuit from the state against me. Building another successful company. I'm like, what the fuck is happening? But this is the adversity, right? So I build another company. I sell it. Have a heart attack. 2022, August 8th. Craziest fucking day of my life. I'm with my daughter. It's hot as shit outside. I had dumpsters back then. Go to pick up a dumpster at a job site just because my guys couldn't do it. And she's like, Dad, can we stop at Wawa? Like, I don't drink soda and shit and eat bad, but she wanted to get a snack and drink a soda. I drank a soda. And, dude, I don't know what happened. Her mom picked her up in my office. 10 minutes later, I'm numb wrist to wrist. I'm like, this ain't fucking right. My girl at the time gives me aspirin. I'm still with her. She gives me aspirin, and I take the aspirin. I drink a tall, smart water. My blood pressure's way over in the high 200s. Like, I'm fucking dead, bro. What are they? Fucking EMT, they come. I'm like, you know, what's going on? They're like, you're good. I'm like, are you supposed to do that shit to me? Like, I don't fucking know. I gotta piss. Like, they're like, you can't piss. I'm like, I'm about to piss my pants. And I'm in the ambulance and I don't even know what's going on. This was the scariest day of my life. I'm looking at the ceiling, texting my kids. I love you guys. I'm sorry if I did anything wrong. At this point in my life, my middle son's not talking to me for 2 years. He didn't talk to me for 4 years. And at this time, I'm just like, hey, I'm sorry, whatever. Like, just come see me. Like, and he didn't want nothing to do with me. That was the hardest thing. But laying there saying, like, what am I doing? I keep building all these companies. I know how to build companies and I know how to lose fucking money. Those are two things I know how to do. But that's what entrepreneurs do, right? But what am I doing? If I keep doing this for the rest of my life, what am I really going to teach? I go, God, listen, I know, like, there's a reason why we're still talking here. And I know you have bigger things for me. And I promise you, like, if you get me through this, I will give back so much. I didn't know what was going to happen.
The proverbial promise at the end of your life, man. You got to keep that one too.
So, and it was like, because I'm not done here. Like, I can't be done, you know, but I thought it was it. And I don't remember, like, I remember trying to text my kids and do all that stuff. The ambulance ride. I remember getting in the hospital. And for a period of time, I don't remember anything. And then my blood pressure comes down. Everything's okay. I have a leaky valve in my heart. And the whole time I'm in the hospital, they're like, you on drugs? I go, I don't fucking do drugs. They think I'm on drugs. They asked me 30 times. I go, call my fucking doctor, my heart doctor. Because the time I know, like, I had high blood pressure and shit. They're not calling my doctor. He's not part of their practice or whatever that hospital shit is. And they're not calling him. 3 days I'm in the hospital. I walk the fuck out. I go see my doctor. We realize, you know, I have a tear in my valve. And, you know, it was bleeding internally and doing whatever it was doing. And at that point, I just said, I got to keep the promise. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to get rid of my company. I'm going to help people build their best lives ever. I know how to do it. So what I started realizing at that point is this is when influencers became influencers, and everyone wants to help everyone by selling a program. I just shot a video today about, like, everyone wants to sell the shovel, but no one knows how to fucking use it. I used the shovel. I dug the hole. I filled the hole. I understand. So I can help people go through it, build the biggest thing in their life, and tell them the mistakes that are going to happen before they happen. So they can go from an employee to a CEO and actually own something tangible. So that's what I decided to do. I decided to be a business coach, help people build their businesses, be their best self, be the best version of themselves, and know that you have to live for something bigger than money. And every time I meet someone, if their first question is, I want to make more money, I go, I probably can't help you. It's not about money. And then we just get deep and I go, I have to fix you first. Then we can fix everything around you.
You just found out the secret to everything, right? It's not about you. It's about what you can provide. You got a legacy that you got to leave after this life is
That's
over.
it.
You know, we all got that date where we're taking our last breath. Our heartbeat's going to beat for the last time. It's coming. Hopefully later than sooner. But if you don't put your stamp on this world, and your stamp is not money, because guess what? You can't take any of this shit with you. It's the impact that you have on others. You know, in the realm that I am, you talk about coaches and influencers and all that stuff. Everybody's a mental health advocate. It's the word that fucking drives me nuts, because everybody wants to bring awareness. Like those coaches, they want to help you succeed. They just don't know how to do it, right?
Yep.
So advocates want to bring awareness to mental health, whether it's police officers, firemen, whatever it is. They have no plan. They have absolutely no plan. And when they get to the point where they have to develop a plan, they're going to go like, well, it's all I can do. I can just tell you that, you know, you shouldn't do this or you should do this. That's it. But there's no plan. I chose not to be that person. I chose to, okay, this is the plan. This is how we're going to get back to normal. It's not business, but it's getting mentally well.
Yep.
And it's one and the same, you know. I like the way that you developed this, and I like the way that money was the focus and money is not the focus.
I don't even worry about it anymore.
But here's my question to you. Does the money come?
Absolutely.
Okay, the money comes. It's funny how that works, right?
So if you become a servant and you deliver value, and as long as you're bringing something that's going to help someone do something of value, you're always going to get the money. But when people want to make more money, like, oh, I just need to make more money, go get a part-time fucking job. Because if you make more money, like you talked about like earlier, like if you don't respect money, you're never going to understand it. Money is a respecter of who you are when you have it, and it will only take you to a new place if you learn how to use it. So it's about giving away more, doing more, helping more, and then you'll always be provided more. But that's a very hard place for a lot of people to come to.
There was it's the whole concept behind tithing at church, right?
Yep.
Give you a tenth up there. But there was a video I was watching. It was like the 5 ways to wealth, right? And I'm watching it, and I couldn't even tell you what the first 4 was. The 5th one, I'll never forget. He says, now give some of it away. And somebody raised their hand in the audience. They're like, wait, you told us this is the way to accumulate wealth. And he goes, I don't know why, it just works. Because when you give something away, when you give yourself away, it has a way, and you don't want it, you don't ask for it, but it has a way of coming back to you tenfold. And it's the weirdest shit ever. But I've put it into practice, and it absolutely works.
Always.
And
I'll give you a real quick example. So this kid he was doing media for me a little bit. He got really sick. He's got like leukemia, came back, and a bunch of shit's going on. And I just check in with him. Hey, bro, what's going on? He goes, I'm good. I'm like, hey, you happen to have these photos from last time. How you feeling? He goes, I'm feeling good. I'm getting there, recovering, a long road. He sends me his GoFundMe. I even asked for it. Send it to me. I went on his GoFundMe, and he only wants to raise like $8,000 or something. People donate $20, $10, $5. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with people? You go spend $100 at a fucking bar like an asshole, but your friend's over here not doing well, and you won't give him money. So I gave him a little donation, more than everyone on there. And he's like, bro, thank you so much. I go, bro, it's nothing. I said, whatever I can do for you, let me know. And it's about that moment to know that, hey, if you need me, I'm here. I'm going to do more for you. But I know that those $10, $5, $6, that's your cousin, that's your friend that you went to high school with, because they don't give a fuck, And that's the problem in this world is people don't want to do things for anybody but themselves. And the law of reciprocation, giving it away, like you said, it comes back. We're doing a big event tomorrow in Jersey. I think you might be coming. So we expense this event, and we were going to give 10% to the charity. I'm giving every dollar left from all ticket sales to the charity. And why? It doesn't matter. The event wasn't about making money or filling the seats. It's about the information that we're going to share. But the charity needs it more than I do. And that's the way I was talking to the pastor on the way here, because it's a charity called Ability Tree. It's my charity of choice and what I donate to. And I was explaining to him, like, here's the goal. And by the time I die, whatever I do, I want to be the biggest funder to your charity. So I just hope I don't die soon. But that's my ultimate goal.
I think if you continue to do what you do, because you've seen the darkness, and once you've seen the darkness, it opens your eyes to the light. You start to see all the good stuff. You've seen the darkness several different times, and it took you a couple times in order to get it. It took you almost dying in order to get to that spot.
You know what it is the mountain gets higher, the cloud gets darker, right? The sky gets darker. So we always want to peek over the top. When we peek over the top, there's another fucking mountain. And that's what most people don't understand. They trip and fall back, and they don't ever climb again. And it's always going to be darker because something's going to be blocking the view.
I think that's the most dangerous place to see. If you were to actually see over the top of the mountain and see what's there, you might not like what's on the other side. But the pursuit of getting up top is much more valuable. It's always about the journey.
Yeah.
Right? So I've run a couple marathons, and you never run 26.2 miles in training. Why? Because you always got to have that top of the mountain to look at, something that you did not attain yet. Mm-hmm. Because I'm going to tell you very honestly, when you finish a marathon, it's very anticlimactic. You miss the journey. You miss the 18 weeks of training in order to get there. And going back over your life and looking back to the businesses that you built and the wealth that you accumulated, what was more fun to you? Was it having the money or building the money?
Building the money.
Yeah.
It's a journey, and it's exciting, and you have a sense of accomplishment, and things happen, and wasting the money, you realize that there's no value in things, but there's value in lessons and things. So people go like, what'll happen if you lost all your money today? I go, I'll get it right back. It's just like working out, right? It's muscle memory. It's the same thing about money memory. If you know how to make it and you don't waste it and you don't abuse it, it'll always be available for you.
Well, there's nothing scary to you anymore.
Right.
So somebody who has money, what's their biggest fear? Losing the money.
Yeah.
Right? You've already lost your money. You've already gone through that stuff. So what's there left to scare you?
Right.
You lose it again? All right. Well, I've been here before. This is familiar. I know what this is.
That's why I don't have Lamborghinis and fucking Bentleys and shit. I don't need that shit.
Can't fit in them anyway.
Yeah, but I don't need that shit. I'd rather have the things that I have and have money doing other things and working for me to know now today, if I lost everything, I have other things that are producing income, and I'll never fall flat on my face again.
50 Cent, best piece of advice I ever heard was from 50 Cent, believe it or not. He says, you're not making money until you're not working and making money.
True.
And I got to tell you what, I'm like, damn, that was like a nugget of truth right there.
That was during his vitamin water days.
There you go. That's his vitamin water. The vitamin water made him richer than any other person out
100%.
there. So listen, Dan, we're coming to the end of this thing here. Why don't you throw out some plugs? Where can we find you? Where can we find Intrepid Podcast? Soon to be having somebody that we know on there. So, actually, I'm looking forward to sitting down with you. But why don't you tell everybody where we can find you?
So, biggest platform where I connect with everybody, talk to everyone is Instagram. I'm on every platform, but Instagram, Big Dan Official. I do have 2 podcasts. I have the Big D podcast, which is if you want to learn more about me, adversity, how to get through it, wealth, relentless execution, and freedom. That's what I talk about on that podcast, and how to keep men, because most men aren't men. That's the Big D podcast. That's a solo podcast where every month I dig into a topic. That's my brand, a Big D brand. And then the Intrepidus podcast, that's the Latin word of fearless. So we bring on individuals like yourself and other people who go through shit. And, what did you fear through the inception of what you're doing? What did you have to go through? All the shit that you had to go through. Because, you become an animal in life through growth. And we talk about that experience because, again, the guy sitting on the other side of that microphone doesn't know what's going on in somebody else's life until they actually say it. And then the guy sitting on the other side of that podcast where they're listening to it on YouTube, Spotify, by you sharing your story, you just help that guy change his life. Or whatever you went through in the past, just saying what you're getting. A guy might be listening, and that's what he's thinking right now. Now you just poured hope into him. So everything I do with social media, with my podcast, if I can help one person every day, I've done my job. And it's not about money.
It's always the one.
Yeah,
it's always the one you're looking for.
Yeah.
You're not looking for the masses. And listen, having lots of views and everything is great and everything. But what's most important is you get to that one person who needs to hear your voice the most.
Exactly.
But you said something pretty interesting. I just wrote an article about this. Men don't want to. You said something earlier on. We don't want to have anybody see us hurting.
Yep.
And you're talking also about being a man. Well, I'm going to tell you what I believe what a real man is. I'm going to show you my damages. I'm going to show you my losses. I'm going to show you the times that I've been afraid and scared, but I've done it anyway. And if you abuse that vulnerability, I'll punch you in the face too, because we can do that as well. Yeah. I prefer not to do that. I prefer you to take what I say and learn something.
Yeah.
And learn something from it. So that's what being a man is.
100%.
Hey, listen, I'm going to show you. I wear my heart on my sleeve. I'm going to show you what I got, but be respectful, and I'm going to be respectful to you because I see you and I raise you one. So, Dan, listen, I really do appreciate you coming in here. We end the show the same way. I've been doing it since the beginning. I believe pain, suffering, loss is all a lesson, all right? And if you haven't learned a lesson from all these bad beats that you went through, from losing your money twice to building businesses, to having a heart attack, to finally figuring it out that the true wealth is giving back to others, if you haven't learned a lesson in that, boy, that's a wasted opportunity. So what has the suffering of all this business, both gains and losses, taught you?
Well, it taught me that we don't know the day we're born. We don't know the day we die. The only thing that we know is that hash in between, because that's what we live by. And in the beginning, I was chasing everything for me. And when I die, people aren't going to remember the businesses I built. People are going to remember how I helped them. And 5, 10, 15, 30 years from now, when people are talking to my grandkids, I want them to say, hey, you know, your grandpa, he helped me do this. He helped my dad do this. He was an inspiration. My dad was going to do this. You know, whatever the situation was, I call myself a hope dealer. You know, I give people hope. I show people that there's hope out there, and I'm willing to sell it to you at no cost.
You know, hope is something that's very hard to give, but it's free.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Listen, Dan, I really do appreciate you coming in here. I appreciate you driving all this way up here, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks when we sit down together and chop it up.
Same, man. Thanks.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And that's going to do it for this episode of The Suffering Podcast, The Suffering of Business with Dan Sachkowsky, or otherwise known as Big D, and let's think about all the stuff that we learned. Strong foundations build the best structures. Learn to appreciate the grace of life. Money is just a tool. And I like this one. This is one of my favorite ones. It's not about you. But also, when in doubt, burn the boats. But most importantly, be a hope dealer. And that's going to do it for this episode. Don't forget to go to popple.com, put in the code TSP20 for a 20% discount on your digital business card. Follow us on all social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, OnlyFans. Follow me at Real Kevin Donaldson, and of course, follow the Suffering Podcast. We'll see you on the next episode.